Alright, what's up, guys? This is Heck Day here, but what the heck kind of question is that? And today's question is going to be, isn't it immoral for God to kill off nations of people? I mean, isn't there something wrong with that? I don't know how I feel about that. I think it might be unethical. I've heard this argument before. You've heard this argument before. So let's deal with it quickly. All right? First things first, let's come through with an analogy. The analogy is going to be, imagine if you planted for yourself a garden, a beautiful garden complete with all of the specific types of flowers and things that you wanted in your garden, right? Now, imagine if after you planted your garden, weeds started popping up in your garden, and you know what weeds do? They sap the energy and the strength from the flowers that you wanted. They're essentially taking that energy, okay? Or maybe even imagine certain creatures or animals coming in and destroying the fruit within your garden or destroying the flowers in your garden. And after a while, you get so frustrated with whatever's coming into your garden, you decide you're going to start setting traps. Yes, that's right, traps, for the sole purpose of eradicating your rat problem or whatever the issue might be. Now, we all know exactly where we're going with this. You see, God has planted all human beings on the planet, and it is God's sole prerogative to be able to do whatever he wants within the garden of his own world. So if he wants, he could rip up certain weeds, or he could rip out certain plants that he does not want in his garden, because those things do not fulfill the purpose that he has for the particular garden that he has. Okay? That was kind of crazy. Now, here's the thing I want to highlight here. All right? The Bible teaches that God is sovereign. The idea of God's sovereignty is that God has the power to be able to do whatever it is he can do. He has the authority to be able to do whatever he wants to do in the world that he has created, because he is the sovereign God. He is the sovereign ruler, and no one can say to him, hey, man, what are you doing? I don't understand what's going on. You cannot really even say that to God with any true justification, because he is actually God, and there is nothing higher or beyond him. All rules are set by him. Okay? Now, thing that we want to also reiterate is the idea that God has mercy on whoever he wants to have mercy, and he has compassion on whomever he wants to have compassion. This is indicated or illustrated in the book of Romans chapter 9. You definitely want to check it out. It's a rough scripture. I don't know if you might be able to handle it. You definitely want to sit down for that particular chapter in Romans. This is a chapter that essentially illustrates that, hey, you know what? God has the right, he has the option to be able to choose this guy, but not this guy. He can do whatever he wants with this person, and he could choose to not do anything with this person. In fact, he could show mercy and compassion on this person, giving them salvation. Meanwhile, he could let this person not receive that mercy and compassion, and they will experience whatever they experience as a result of not being able to get God's mercy or compassion or his graciousness. In fact, what they receive is actually justice. You see, we have grace, mercy, and justice. Grace is that gift that you did not deserve, but you got. Mercy was you were supposed to get punished, but they chose not to punish you. And justice is you got exactly what you deserve. Now, here's the other thing we want to keep in mind. The dignity of God's majesty is infinitely higher than humans. Okay, so we could be here, rats are here, maybe other nasty, disgusting creatures are down here. God is off the charts. All right, the difference between us and God is a bigger gap than the difference between plants and rats. You know, rats coming into the garden and stuff like that. The difference is infinite. All right, there's no other word that I can actually come up with outside of infinite. Okay, now the bloodline of the promised Messiah was coming through the nation of Israel. Now, this is significant to note, because we're still sticking with the question of, is God immoral to destroy nations of people? Well, throughout the scriptures, we see that there's a group of people called the Amalekites. There's a group of people called I believe they were Canaanites, right? These people, I'm focusing on the Amalekites in particular. This is a group of people that God consistently told his people, when you destroy this nation of people, you need to get the men, you need to get the women, you need to get the children, you need to eradicate the whole entire race. But why? Because this is a race of people that was threatening the group of people, the children of Israel, through whom the Messiah would eventually come. So by the Amalekites trying to eradicate the Israelites, what the Amalekites were in essence doing was they were putting in jeopardy future generations of people that were going to be saved by the Messiah if they actually succeeded in destroying off the children of Israel. Okay, this is very significant. And as a result, God said, because this wicked group of people are threatening the race of people through whom the Messiah was going to proceed, they need to be eradicated completely. Now, this is what made the Amalekites so wicked. They were constantly trying to destroy off the children of Israel. In fact, in Deuteronomy chapter 25, you'll see it around verse 18, where God is saying, make sure you take care of the children of Amalek. Make sure you take care of that group of people, that race of people, the Amalekites, because these are the people, when you were coming out of Egypt, they were picking off all those feeble Israelites that you had in the back, and they were constantly looking for the weakest group of people that they could find, knocking them off, and as they were slowly consuming the rest of the children of Israel. God said, you know what? I'm not going to tolerate this from this group of people, and they must be destroyed completely. In fact, the first king of Israel, Saul, was also given the command, because the children of Israel didn't do it during the time of Moses. The children of Israel, Saul, the king Saul, decided that, hey, you know what? I'm going to kill off, some of the soldiers and stuff like that. I'm going to leave the king alive, etc., because you know what? And I'm going to leave all the fancy stuff alive too. And God punished Saul for not actually completing the job of wiping away all of the Amalekites. Now, here's the other thing that we want to highlight here is the children, right? Because everybody's like, well, what about the kids? What about the kids? Now, the Bible says in Exodus chapter 20, it says, God visits the iniquities of the fathers upon the children and the children's children to the third and fourth generation of those that hate him. Here's the thing we want to focus on here. Children often inherit the calamities brought about from their parents. This is not a new idea. This is not unusual. When a person is extremely lazy and is, what's the word I'm looking for here? When a person is belligerent at work or something like that, what do they do to their children? They're putting their children in jeopardy, because if they lose the job, their children could potentially be homeless. If a person has a disease, right, they can turn around and have children, and their children can come out with that particular type of disease, STDs and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about, right? Children often, unfortunately, inherit the problems that arise from the sins of their parents. In fact, if I decide that I want to, start shooting up banks and stuff like that, my children are going to reap the repercussions of that action. All right. If I do something else that's some kind of a heinous crime, my children run the risk of having to deal with that. And so it is not unusual in the world for children to be the recipients of their parents' foolish behaviors. Okay. Now, unfortunately, it's a disadvantage that children have to share. Now, last point that I want to highlight here, and then we're done. Okay? God is the standard for morality. God is the rule. All things are measured by him. So if God says something is not correct, it's just not correct. There's nothing else that you can do about it. There's no, but wait a minute, man, but that's not right. Shall the judge of the entire world, universe, Will he do something wrong? He knows exactly how to judge. He knows the insides. He knows the outsides. He is omniscient. He knows all things at the same time. He takes every single piece of information into consideration when he judges, and he judges appropriately. God is absolutely the moral of the universe. There is nothing that can come against him or tell him that what he is doing is inaccurate or incorrect or wrong. I'm sure that we can go into far more detail about this particular topic, but I just wanted to throw out those 4, 5, 6 facts. Well, probably like 4 or 5. Right? Because we spoke about the dignity of God, the bloodline. We spoke about the Amalekites, the children, and the fact that God is the standard of morality. Take these things into consideration. If this group of wicked people were not eradicated, no one would be saved. And God saw the salvation of thousands and millions and billions of people as being far more valuable than this wicked group of Amalekites that decided that they wanted to be so foolish as to wipe off the group of people through whom the Messiah would come. Okay? And you know the name of the game. With your garden, if anything starts running up in there, threatening your most prized possession, your children are running around the garden and some wild dog comes in there. You know how folks love dogs. But if there's a dog that's coming in there and that dog has been known to maul children to death, and now the dog walks up in your yard, you know exactly what you're going to do to that dog. All right? I'm just throwing these things out here. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know if I'm crazy. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. All that good stuff. If you got something to say, definitely throw it down there in the comments so that, you know, everybody else could learn everything at the same time. All right? That'll be cool. We love you. God bless you. Peace. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when another video is coming out.